Okay, I think it's about time to get started. Welcome everybody to our September What's New and What's Next in Meetoo. I'm Dermot from the Customer Success team, and joining me, as always on these sessions, is Matt Kelly, our Product Manager for Meetoo.
Hello.
Okay, so please follow the instructions on screen. As always, we're going to be using Meetoo throughout the session. So download the native app or go to web.meetoo.com and then enter our meeting ID for the session, which is 192.024.314. And it is really important, as always, that we get you on to our Meetoo meeting, because we really want your feedback. We want your feedback on what Matt's going to be presenting about what's new in the upcoming release. But then also we want to get your ideas on where we should be going with Meetoo in the future. So, I say it every time, but that's because it's true. Everything that we do in terms of product updates is based on feedback from our customers, because we want to make a product that you will want to use. So again, please get Meetoo, web.meetoo.com. ID is 192.024.314. Okay, I just want to also point out that we've got a survey open in our Meetoo meeting, and unlike usually where we have a feedback survey in there, this is actually a user survey, and the product team are really keen to get some responses from you to those questions. So either do them throughout the session or wait until the end and answer some of those questions for us. It's going to be really, really useful. Okay, so as always with these sessions, our agenda is pretty simple. We've got what's new, and Matt will talk about that in a second. Then he'll start looking at what's next, and then we'll come to some Q&A. So please do make sure you fire your questions through on Meetoo throughout the session. So we've got some good stuff to work with when we get there. So once again, the ID is 192.024.314, and we're just going to kick off with a quick poll to see how many people we've got on our session at the moment. So just a simple one: is this your first What's New and What's Next webinar that you're attending? So yes, it is your first one. No, you've attended just one before, or you've attended a few before. And this is for us just to get a bit of an idea of the types of people that we've got coming to these sessions and then coming back to them. Hopefully they're useful enough for you to want to attend each one. Okay, we've got a few responses in there. Let's have a quick look, Matt, before we carry on. Okay, so a very decent spread, and it's good to see that a third of you have attended a few. It's really nice that you feel like it's a worthwhile session to keep coming back to. So that's great. I'd now like to hand over to Matt to take us through the rest of the session.
Thank you, Dermot. So as Dermot, I think, said earlier, unlike some of our previous webinars, this one comes a few days before we actually do our update. So for this webinar, I'll be using a development environment, and it's going to be a demonstration where I'll show you some of the small updates we've got coming. And the last one of these webinars we did back in June, and we had quite a lot to get through in that webinar. We had a few comments that came in asking me to slow down as I was desperately trying to fit everything into the time slot we had. So my apologies for that. These webinars do get saved and put up on our YouTube channel, so you can go back and skip to any bits you may have missed. This time around, it's a bit of a smaller update, so I'm going to try and take it at a leisurely pace. And the things that I'm going to discuss with you today are our new sort of quick data summary feature that we've got. We have some tweaks to the import feature, and then also just sort of comment about the live chat facility that we've got on the dashboard. So without further ado, let me just bring in the dashboard into view. So here we are on my dashboard. Now, just quickly to point out, this is a test environment. Pay no attention to the meeting IDs you see on here. You won't be able to join this from your app because it's in a different testing environment. But straight away, you can see here on the left-hand side, I'm in my data section of the dashboard, and the new feature we're looking at in the middle of the screen here is our summary, sort of data summary snapshot of the meeting. So what we've done is we've pulled a few key metrics out to highlight to you just about the meetings that you're running. The intention is that this is something that you can come to at the end of your meeting, but obviously, it's available all throughout. You can come to it at any point in the meeting, and these will update throughout the course of the meeting. So we'll just take a very quick look at what these numbers are. First off here, we've just got the overall total participants. So in this example, we can see I've had 13 people connect to this meeting. Now what that participants is, it's the number of unique participants or devices that have actually connected to this meeting. Then just below that, we have peak participants. Now the difference here, peak participants is the total number of people that have been in the meeting at any given time, or at any one time, I should say. So this is always going to be lower than or equal to the number above it. So we can see here we've had a total of 13 participants, but we've only actually ever had 12 of them concurrently connect to this meeting at one time. Next, if I move along, we have the poll summary. So we can see here I've created, or I've polled or asked a total number of 3 polls in this session. Across those 3 polls, I've gathered a grand total of 26 responses from my participants. And then if we just look underneath at the donut chart, we can see I've had a poll participation rate of 85%. So that's 85% of all people that join this meeting have voted on at least one of my polls. So that's pretty good. If I just hover over this here, we can see it drills down and shows the real numbers. So we can see that's telling me there's 11 people of that 13 have answered a poll, and 2 have been inactive, so have not answered that poll. Then if I move over again to the right, we just have our Q&A summary. So in total, there were 10 questions sent to the Q&A board, and that amassing a total of 24 likes across those 10 questions. And then again, if we just look down at the donut chart below it, 77%. So what that is telling me is we had 77% of all participants in this meeting asked a question, which is great. So some high participation amongst people in this meeting. Again, if I just hover over that, it breaks it down to show the real number values for me. Now, the last thing I want to address on this is that you can just very quickly and easily download this image. And to do that, all you have to do is click anywhere on the image. You can see we have a little thing that highlights in the bottom corner of it. So you just click anywhere on that image. Now, depending on the browser you've got, I'm using Chrome at the moment, and by default, it's just popped up at the bottom, downloaded it to my downloads folder. It's browser specific, so if you're in a different browser, it might work slightly differently, but I can just open that, and we can see there it's downloaded that image, so I can use that, share it with my colleagues, or share it or put it into a report if I want to report to anybody about this meeting afterwards. So that covers the data summary that we've got. Now, the next thing I just wanted to talk about was some updates to the import feature. It's quite a small tweak, but one that quite a few people have asked about in the past. So what we've done is we've made it possible now to import surveys into the poll section of our dashboard, and similarly vice versa. We can import polls into the survey section. So I'm just going to very quickly show you how this works. I'm in the polls section here. We can see I've had a few polls in this meeting already. I'm just going to go to the import polls button. I'm going to navigate to a survey file. So this is a survey I've previously created and exported out. You see here it's an education one, and it's just got the tag surveys in it. So if I select that and import it, so straight off we can see I just get this warning at the top here. And what that is telling me is I'm trying to import a survey into the polls section. So when I do this, the survey is going to be split out, and each question will be counted as an individual poll. So if I just hit import on that, we can see what was previously a survey. These questions have now just been split out as individual polls in this poll section. Similarly, I'll just quickly show you it the other way. So if I go to the surveys section and I click on import survey, and again, a polls file that I exported earlier. This one is internal comms polls. So I'm just going to open that file. And again, here I get a warning at the top telling me I'm importing an individual live polls file into the survey section. What will happen here is this, all these polls will be collated together into one survey. So we can see here, it's just given the title, a new survey. I can just hit a drop down and see what it is that's within that I'm importing. Hit the import button. As always, you can see it's called a new survey. I can edit that if I so wish. Similarly, if I just expand that out, we can see all of those polls have been gathered together into that one survey.
This is one that is really useful. We actually had a customer recently who had created a load of live polls, didn't get an opportunity to run them during the session, and then wanted to be able to put them into a survey, and we didn't have that functionality available. So this is certainly something that that talks to that and hopefully solves that problem in the future.
Yeah. Thanks, Dermot. So then the next thing I just wanted to show you is not so much a Meetoo feature, but it's more of a support aid, and that is the live chat functionality. So we've had this as part of our meetoo.com website for a little while now, helping people who are on the website who've got some questions when browsing the website. But we're now bringing this through to the dashboard. So if you get stuck doing something or you have a question about how something works while you're on the dashboard, you can press the live chat. So we can see it's in the bottom right of my screen. And this is all throughout the dashboard. Whatever page of the dashboard you're on, you'll see the live chat in the bottom. So I can press that. We just ask you to enter in your details, so your name and your email, so we know who it is we're chatting to. And I can start the chat. And that will connect me with one of the customer success agents. So we can see here, I've got Lewis that I'm speaking to, and here he is saying, "Hi, Matt." So I'm not going to engage in a conversation because that'll get me a little bit sidetracked, but that's just to show you how the live chat works. So I'm just going to minimize that back down again. Now, just a quick note on the live chat. That is staffed only during our UK office hours. So that's between 9 till 5, Monday to Friday. Outside of these hours, instead of live chat, this will still be here, but it will be in the form of a leave a message. So you can just go there, again, enter in a couple of your details and a message. And then when it's back to office hours, our customer success agents will pick that up and get back to you. So just a couple of other things. So we've made a few other minor tweaks here and there. A couple of things, not for everyone. One of the ones I just wanted to touch upon, we've worked a bit on our Microsoft authentication piece. So this is more geared towards some of our larger institution education accounts, making it easier for them to migrate current users away from using our authentication and using their Microsoft Office accounts instead. If you have any questions on this or you want a bit more info, just let us know who you are in the chat or get in touch via email and we can get back to you. And that sort of brings us to an end of what I wanted to discuss about what's come up in this release next week. But what I also wanted to do was just talk a little bit more about what's next in the future beyond that. So those of you who attended the last one of these that we did back in June, you'll be aware of the presentation view beta feature that we currently have on the dashboard. We've been listening to your feedback and collecting and gathering that, and we've got a few more updates coming for that very soon as well. What I do just want to quickly highlight on that is these updates, just reiterate, won't be coming next Tuesday, as these changes are independent of that release. However, they should be following closely behind. I can't give an exact date, but Dermot's grinning as well. Let's just say it shouldn't be much more than a week or so beyond or after that main release. So if you just bear with me for a moment, I will bring in another testing dashboard. So again, just want to highlight, this is another test environment, so you won't be able to participate in this from your devices. But again, just to highlight what we're talking about here is the presentation view. So if I go to my presentation view, now here we are. There's been a lot of interest in this presentation view. So I'll get into a couple of the tweaks we've made.
Just before you do, Matt, sorry, I just wanted to point out, we've obviously got that meeting ID up there at the top again. Please don't try and join that session. This is, as Matt says, on the QA environment. So stay in the meeting we publicised at the beginning.
Thanks, Dermot. Couple of quick things to note, just to make note of on the layout, some subtle changes. So we can see here the questions. So I'm looking at the Q&A board. We've given the questions a little bit more room, so they stretch a bit further across the screen now. Those instructions, the joining instructions that Dermot was referring to, they're a little bit more prominent at the top of the screen as well now. Now, when it comes to controlling, so again, when I start to move my cursor around, we get some controls. We've moved these to the bottom of the screen. That's just to make sure that they don't interfere too much with the content. Generally speaking, the more important content being towards the top of the screen. So what I'll do is just move on to what's changed in the polling. So we can see here on the controls, it's prepping up the next question or the next poll that I've got, asking what region I'm from. So I'll go ahead and open that poll. Now, we can see that that poll is open. Just another note to make, we got a bit of a mixed response last time around when it came to the side-by-side display we've got here. So obviously Q&A on the left of the screen, polling on the right. Some loving the ability to track the Q&A whilst the poll is open. Others wanting the focus to be more on one thing at a time. So we've brought in a couple of layout options to deal with this. So dealing with this one specifically, if I just highlight over the layout on my controls here, we've got a toggle at the bottom, show Q&A while polling. So at the moment I've got this to show. I can just flick that toggle to say hide. And now as I come off, we can see the polling is now the only thing that you see on the screen. So when I close this poll, it will go back to showing just the Q&A board on its own as well. So this poll is open. I'm just going to send in a quick vote, and I can see I've got Dermot as well voting on here. So whilst we've got this vote open, one of the other big ones that a lot of you fed back and desperately wanted was the ability to see how many responses were coming in whilst the poll is open. So in the corner of the poll section, you can see up here, we've got this little responses box. And that's just a response counter. So as we vote, if I clear a vote, we can see that reacts and then send it back in again. We can see that jumps up. Then the last big change is something we said right from the start that we were working on to introduce with this. We weren't just quite there before, and that was the ability to change between showing the poll results live whilst the vote is open. As you can see here, as we're voting, the bars are moving. Or if I move down to my layout section, so it's this toggle in the middle here, which discusses real-time results, real-time poll results. If I turn that off, so we can see now that the results won't show whilst the vote is open. Now, that's obviously to avoid other people's votes being swayed by the rest of the audience. And then if I go and close the poll, we can see the results display on the close of that poll.
I think in practice, you probably would make that toggle before you open the poll, obviously, but Matt was just demonstrating it there. So you can obviously go to that layout section before you activate the poll.
Correct, yeah, that's right, Dermot. And if I just hit done on that poll as well now, we can see it defaults back to the Q&A board. So that's just a quick sneak peek at some of the updates that we've got coming in the future for the presentation view. But you can rest assured we're not going to be done there. The presentation view, we've got on a slightly different release cycle to the rest of the product at the moment. So that allows us to make quicker changes and push them out. So we should be getting more things out quicker or at a quicker pace with the presentation view in the coming weeks. One of the next things that I think we're looking at working on with the presentation view is better theming options. We want to be able to give you a bit more versatility in changing colours, the background and such to match your branding a little bit better there. And then just as another sort of side note to things we previously mentioned, we're still working away on an LTI for our education customers. That work progresses and continues. And then towards the end of this year, we're going to be looking to focus, or bring the focus again on our polling offering. So we're going to start work on bringing in some more poll types, such as ranking, numerical range, possibly image-related polls. And whilst it's not going to be something that necessarily comes before the end of the year, we're also starting to look at better scoring, quizzing, and scoreboard features. I know that's kind of at the top of lots of people's want list. I don't want to get too carried away just yet, but just want to let you know these are some of our current priorities on the roadmap. That brings my bit to an end. So over to you, Dermot. What have we got on the Q&A?
We've had a few good questions coming in. Thanks for presenting all of that, Matt. So what I'll do is I'll go from the bottom, and particularly as it's got probably the most likes. Can you customize those infographics, i.e. use different branding? So I think Sam's talking about the new infographic element that we've brought in. So that's a good question, Sam. Thanks for that. Yeah,
that is a good question. So at present, no, it's just got that branding on it. Now, again, I think in the future, that's something we want to look at. We know it's important for you or for some of our customers to attach their own brand to that. So that's something that I think we could potentially look to, the customized feature we've got on the dashboard. Following that through to the summary results as well. That's a good point. Thanks, Sam.
Good stuff. We've got a good question from Steve here. I really like these data images in the dashboard. Will there be more of these in the dashboard in future releases rather than focusing on data in the Excel reports?
That's a good question, Steve, on that. And the end of the day, yes. What do you want? I mean, I'm really pleased that you brought that up, actually, because it'd be very good to get a bit more feedback from you, perhaps on, do you not like the Excel report? Do you prefer these images as a way to present in your data? This is our first sort of stab at this kind of data summary thing. We absolutely want to sort of progress and evolve that feature to include some more stuff. It would be, it'd be great to get a little bit more feedback from you on that, whether that's through the chat or an email or another discussion afterwards. But yeah, just understanding, do you have any aversions to the Excel report, and just some of the reasonings why. But yeah, definitely we'd like to do that.
Yep, Steve, please drop an email to hello@meetoo.com, and then we'll get in touch and potentially set up a call with Matt as well to go through what you're looking for there. Adrian's got a question about, can the live chat be emailed on closing? Now, I know some of us in the office get an email of the transcript. I just need to check whether you, as the person initiating the chat, get that as well. So that's something that we'll look into and get back to you on. What's the latest? Another one from Sam. Sorry, by the way. What's the latest on chat rooms? So splitting out messaging into different rooms for different breakouts, for example.
Another good question, Sam. Thanks for that. Well, the latest on it, we're not currently sort of doing anything on breakout rooms. It is something that's regularly discussed here. I think we had the conversation about potentially sorting breakout rooms. Again, it's a good question. I think if that's a very important feature to you and you want that, keep asking about it. It'd be great to get more feedback from others as well about whether that's something important, having the breakout rooms. Or interesting, you've focused there, I think, on splitting the messaging, so the Q&A into different rooms. I presume you're also talking about polling and voting in different rooms as well, but you know, it'd be good to hear a bit more on your opinions there, whether it's just separate chat boards you want, or Q&A boards, or if it's the polling as well. But thanks, Sam.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Sam, you've asked another question and then said it's already been answered, but I just want to focus on it just for a second. So regarding options on branding and changing colours on the presentation view, hiding text, etc. So obviously at the moment, the current functionality means you can change the primary colour that's used, and you can change the logo in the top corner. So you have got that element of customization already there, but as Matt mentioned, hopefully in the very short term, we're going to be getting the opportunity to put in more of a theming in there as well. But again, I'd really like to get your feedback on, what else, what level of theming you want to do. Obviously, everything we try to do is to keep things simple for the people using Meetoo. But if there's something that's really important to you in terms of theming or changing or branding, then, again, we'd love to hear it about that.
Just quickly on that question as well that you put in there, Sam, just at the very end of it, you said hiding text, etc. Be good to know a little bit more what you mean by that, or what it is specifically perhaps that you want to hide, and maybe why. That would be good to know. Thanks.
Sure. And then we've just got a couple of people saying they're looking forward to image-related polls from Adrian there, and then Sam saying looking forward to the quizzing and scoring side of things. So we've got a lot of interest in that. That's obviously great to hear. There's no more questions coming in right now. Please, we've just got a couple more things to wrap up. If anything does come in, we'll try and jump on it. But I just want to remind you again about the survey. So we've got the user survey that's available in the app. We have got a few responses already. I can see a few people have done it. Please, it is really, really useful for us to get this user data from you. Really helps us drive the product forward. So please just take a moment to go in there. There's only a couple of questions, and it will just take you a few moments to jump through. And then just a bit of promotion on some upcoming webinars. So in a few weeks, we've got our October customer success webinar. We're going to be talking about some of the benefits of doing your live polling in PowerPoint. And then, as Matt's already said, we've got some more what's new and what's next coming up. Certainly the next one will be the next major release, which will be in November. We don't have a date ready for that webinar just yet, but we'll be obviously emailing you all about that soon. And as always, you can always go to our webinars page on the website and see what's coming up, and you can also register for all of those there as well. As always, please make sure you leave us a Trustpilot review. We'll be sending everybody out a link to leave us a Trustpilot review after the webinar. So please wait for that email to come and then leave us a review, whether that's about the product, whether that's about the service or these webinars. We don't mind. We just want to really get your feedback. It's really helpful to us to get our Trustpilot reviews up there. And then, of course, the YouTube channel. The recording of this session will be going up later today. And then also all our other videos are on there. We've got lots of new videos that you may or may not have seen, some great animations from Abby, our video production manager as well. So please go and check those out. Okay, there's been no other questions, so I think we're probably there at the end. If you do think of anything afterwards, please email us at hello@meetoo.com, and we'll be more than happy to get back to you with those, and to those people that we've asked to get in contact to go into a little bit further detail on your questions. Please do that for us as well. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks very much, Matt, as always.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you on the next session. Cheers.